Kroll here, your host for RealSEO.com. And our subject today is going to be on an interesting area with video. It's one of the more unpleasant areas, but we all need to concern ourselves with. I refer to it as video harassment. A lot of times we might find ourselves down the road in a situation where someone is bugging you, harassing you, or threatening you. And you wonder, will it affect your work or your career? Should you ignore it? How should you respond to it if you are going to? These are important issues. It could be in the areas of, is there something that, again, might affect you for your profession and you have to take a civil recourse, or if it's even worse than that and you have to go to the proper authorities. This is not uncommon. I've actually had experience with a few people who have had to go through this very thing, and so it inspired me to do this show on video harassment, or another thing would be cyberbullying is what you could call it. I thought we should go a little extra on this one, so I've decided to bring in two people. One is a friend of mine who's also a listener to this show. I have her share her story as a teacher in an area where her reputation is very important, talking about her situation with cyberbullying and with video. And we also do an interview with the CEO of Reputation Defender, a reputation management company, Michael Furtick. This is going to be really good for understanding what are common scenarios that can involve cyber harassment, especially with video, why it's important to follow and monitor it, especially if you might be in the public eye, but even if you're not, because then you'll be in the public eye unwittingly, and what are proper steps to take care of it, sometimes just to make sure it goes away and that these people who are committing the offenses don't use the same area. That's typically the best way to handle it. So we are going to go right in with Mary, one of the listeners to Real SEO. In this interview with her and myself, asking the questions, we're talking about what was the situation where she found out about this video that was clearly harassment, even making threats against her work and her career, and sending it to people in her family and also people who are associates and friends of hers. How she went about it, how she was successful in getting the video taken down on the offending sites and building a proper record. Really good stuff to hear about it from the perspective of being the victim, so to speak. So that being said, let's get right to the interview. Mary, thank you for joining us here at Real SEO.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about your situation, your video cyberbullying experience and how you handled it. Give us a basic explanation, without giving any specific names of individual, of how this happened, who was involved, and who became involved.
Sure, I'd be glad to, Grant. I'm going to start with just giving a little bit of a background on cyberbullying because I did research on this when it happened to me. It generally falls into a few different categories, either somebody who is trying to pursue a romantic interest, bullying among more children, junior high school age, just for putting each other down a social thing, or people who feel that they have been slighted and are seeking revenge. And my incident falls under the last category. A person who used to be a friend of mine and my family felt that I had slighted them in some way and started blogging about me, at first indirectly and then progressively more directly, mentioning my name, where I worked, talking about my children, who are both teenagers, talking to my children because he was at one time a friend of theirs. It just got progressively worse and worse. I did not respond to it in any way, but I was very upset about it, and word got back to him that I was upset, so he kept escalating it. The last thing was a video blog to my son, but made publicly, but he was talking to my son, and he made this public blog on MySpace that was also available on YouTube. He hosted it on MySpace because it was 30 minutes long. YouTube stopped at 10 minutes, and he actually emailed my son telling him not to look at it, which of course, human nature. He went and looked at the video blog, told me about it. I became very upset. He had been blogging about me on MySpace, so I habitually checked MySpace. I habitually run my first and last name through a Google search to watch it because I do watch my reputation. I work in a relatively public manner because I'm a teacher, so I want to make sure that my reputation is always very clean and above board, and I like to try and take control of it. In this particular case, I found out about the video content from my son when he was emailed by the person who posted the video blog.
There's some of our listeners who might think, okay, why do anything? There's so much junk that's out on the web. What were your reasons for taking action?
I do teach in the computer area, and I take my reputation very seriously. It's becoming a common practice to have people who are, if I were to go look for another job, do a Google search, check MySpace, check Facebook, and everybody should be very careful about any content they personally put up and should monitor their reputation online. I take that very seriously. Well, he did not specifically use any more than my first name. Anybody who knew us would have known that it was me that he was talking about, and it was just really, really offensive, untrue things, and I didn't feel that I should just sit there and take it.
Do you think if something like this was left unchecked, it could have affected you professionally?
I believe it would have, because he was going beyond just posting things about me and had gone to the YouTube video channel from my school and was posting on things completely unrelated to me, about me. And so I felt, and he had stated in an email chat with a mutual friend that he was going to try and make me lose my job. I have not done anything with the legal authorities at this point. I have accumulated a lot of documents that I do not want to do anything with because I was trying to handle it outside of the legal arena first. And at this point, we seem to have it stopped. The steps that I did take, though, is I went through and researched everything. And in Illinois, it's a pattern of harassment if there are 2 or more incidences. And I have documented that, so should it continue, my next step would go to the legal authority. I didn't want to see this person punished. I just wanted to see it stopped. But I also did take steps to get the video content taken down through MySpace. MySpace has a specific complaint procedure, which I went through and got me an automated response with the additional information at the end that if these standard steps do not solve your problem, please respond to this email. So their basic steps were to ignore the person, block the person, do things like that. Since it was not a back and forth conversation, they weren't posting on my personal MySpace area, I responded to that email and explained that this was a half-hour video that was a personal attack against me, and these steps would not solve my problem, and that I really wanted and expected their help in having the content removed. Within 6 hours, they had removed that video, plus several other videos that he had put up that apparently they viewed and deemed to be offensive.
Are there any tip or tips you might have for others on how they could be monitoring and managing their own reputation when it comes to online video?
Yes, the first thing I would recommend is to regularly search your own name in various spellings on Google and other major services. Look for yourself in YouTube, because the first thing is being aware that there's content out there. Secondly, if somebody is harassing you, in most states it takes a pattern of harassment to be able to get help from the police. Thirdly, many police departments are not trained to handle this sort of personal attack, though there are laws against it and it's being taken seriously. MySpace and Facebook are very much against this sort of thing, and they will work with the police as well. You can go to them and ask them to take it down, but one thing that I did learn is when they take it down, if you want any record of what was up there, you need to have a police or lawyer contact them to get the content. So I recorded, using a screen capture program, the video where he had posted about me at my work and various blogs, and I have them all saved so that if it does continue, I can show a pattern of harassment and I'm in a place to take legal action.
Mary, thank you very much for sharing with our audience on what people can be doing both in their personal and professional life to protect themselves from video cyberbullying.
Thank you.